and it's an interesting story because the I went to a middle school which was mostly Jewish.
We had a synagogue in the middle of the block. It was wonderful.
And they were kind of discriminated against me because I was little and they didn't want me to play baseball with them. But in any case, they were good kids and they were very smart, so they helped me get smarter. And then, so I made the honor roll at middle school, and then because of that, I was invited to go to Cass Tech, which was you had to be on an honor roll to get into Cass Tech. And Jean was a very smart girl, and although she went to the same middle school I did, I never even knew her. But she ended up at Cass, and so we were both students at Cass.
How is that possible? You both at the same school but never met?
Well,
Wow, that's crazy.
you know, so I went to Cass, and I started in January of 1950 at Cass, and Jean started in September of 1950, so I was a semester ahead of her. Well, while at Cass, it was a great school because all.
Your dad went there too.
Yeah, your dad went there, didn't he? Yeah.
Mine too.
It was a wonderful.
You too?
It was a twinkle in my father's eye then.
But anyway, while at Cass, when I was still a freshman,
38.
Oh,
Yeah, he graduated in 38.
he went in 1938 at Cass.
Yeah. My father. Yeah.
Jean and I started in 1950. When I was a freshman, I went out for track, and very first race I ran was cross country, and I won. And when I finished, it was a tri-meet. The three coaches came up to me and asked me, "Who the hell do you run for?" Because I didn't have a uniform on. So I said, "Well, I run for Cass." And then immediately the Cass coach says, "Come in Monday," he says, "and get your uniform." So anyway, so I became All-City the very first year as a freshman, which was a little bit of an accomplishment. So I became a big man on campus as a freshman. And so I started getting invited to parties. I didn't even know what the hell was going on, right? Because everybody else was seniors or juniors, you know. So they said, "Hey, George," he says, "you got to get yourself a wool." I said, "What do you mean? What, I got to get my," it says, "if you're going to come to these parties, you got to bring a wool."
Oh, what's a wool?
That's a good question.
And I'm not, well, I was smart enough not to ask that question.
There you go, Bob.
I'm scratching
Oh,
my
I
head.
figured it out. I'm trying.
Well done, Bob.
I'm
Well done.
scratching my head. How the hell do I get a wool? What's a wool? So,
Whoa, do you really want one?
so finally, I got enough guts, and I was on the cross country team and track team. So these guys said they'd start giving me a nickname, and they called me Greasy. And I didn't like that name, but they think I was Grease Lightning or something. But anyway, I went up and asked one of the guys, "How do I get a wool?" He said, I said, "What's a wool?" He said, "What do you mean you don't know what a wool is?" I said, "No." So wool is your girlfriend. Okay, so I had to get a girlfriend. And he says he's told me there's 4 kinds of girls.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. You glad to
Now,
add
you know,
this?
I'm only like,
Apologize.
I'm only
Apologize for the
16, you know.
story.
I'm only 16. I don't know what the hell's going on. And so he says there's 4 kind of girls. There's woes, hoes, who's, and brains.
What's the last one?
Brains.
Praise.
Brains. So he says, I said, well, whoa, I said, how do you spell it? He said, W-O-E, and I looked it up, and woe means misery, right? So back then, the vernacular was, you called your girlfriend a woe. And if you had a girlfriend, you had a woe until you got pinned. Once you got pinned, you were no longer had a woe, you had a steady. Do you remember all those days?
No.
So when
We
Jean,
call it first base, second
so-
base.
Oh, you kids.
Here in America.
Jean was a very, very beautiful girl.
She was
Still
the
is.
brain.
She is.
She was-
She was the brain. She's number 4.
Yeah.
She was a who, which stood for a beautiful young lady, right? And she was also a brain. And she was an all-A student at Cass Tech.
Wow.
And all the boys were scared to ask her out. You know, because usually, you know, you marry equals, right? Or you go with equals. You're not gonna go for something below or above you. Guys were scared to ask Jean out. And I said, well, what the hell? I'm a BMOC.
What?
So,
Big
Bad.
man.
big man on campus.
Also known as the B-Mock.
So I told him, I says, I'm gonna get a woe. He says, who you gonna ask? I said, well, I'm gonna ask Jean Ray. Ray was her maiden name. They said, oh, you greasy, she'll never go out with you. She's way above your class. I said, no, she's not. I'm gonna go get Jean to be my woe. And so they kept calling me this. They kept calling me this name, Greasy, and I said, shut the F up. I don't want that name. And they kept bugging me, she would never go out with me. So I made a bet with them. If she goes out with me, will you guys quit calling me Greasy? And they made a deal, we made a deal. And they said, okay, we won't call you Greasy if she goes out with you, but it's a done deal because she won't go out with you. So one day, and I used to watch her because I fell in love with her long before she ever fell in
We call
love
that
with me.
stalking, George.
You were a smart man.
You're right. You're right.
So
Yeah,
my
I think I
homeroom,
would say it is stalking.
my homeroom was
Nowadays,
yeah.
number 421, and it was in the middle of the 4th floor in a long corridor. And Jean's homeroom was on the 4th floor, and she was down at the farther end. So she would always have to walk past my homeroom to get her homeroom. And I would wait in the hall to watch her go by. And I
Remember?
So I watched her go by, and my heart was pounding. And for a long, and then
Still
you know,
called stalking.
I said,
Whoa, whoa,
"Honey,"
whoa.
and I was still speaking broken English, you know, because I spoke 3 languages before I learned to speak English. So I'm going to say, what can I say to her in English? But anyway,
Whoa.
so
whoa.
I watched her for a semester or
Those were
more.
different days.
And then one day, I was going to a classroom, and I was standing in front of this classroom. It was outside the class where we were going to have civics class. Okay, back then we did have civics. We don't have it now.
Yes.
So I was waiting for civics class, and buddy next to me, his name was Chuck. He said, "Come on, George, let's go in and get a good seat. Let's go in and get a good seat." And I see Jean walking down the hall. I said, "Wait a minute, I just want to watch Jean Way walk by, and then we'll go in." And Jean and a girl named Margaret came up to that door, and she was going to go into the same civics class. And I said, what a stroke of luck. So I said, come on, Chuck, let's follow Jean and Margaret in and sit behind them. So Jean and Margaret went into the civic class, and they sat in the second last row. And Chuck and I went into the same civics class, and we sat right behind them. So that's how I got to meet her, was in civics class. Then one day, after several weeks or a
Well, wait a
month.
minute, did Jean end up with Margaret?
What's that?
I never noticed him.
Never.
No, she never gave me a second thought.
Oh,
When I
no.
was
Although
thinking
I
about
flirted,
boys, I was thinking about education.
She was, like I say, she was a who and a brain. One of the prettiest girls and an all-A student. And so, finally, after one civics class, I got up enough guts to ask her to go out to some dance or something. And the bitch turned me down.
Who are you?
So much for being big man on the campus.
Okay, so Greasy, how you doing?
Who's the big man hoe?
Oh, that's awesome.
Interesting story, Greasy.
Oh my God, that's priceless.
Yeah.
I was so academic.
She was so academic.
Anyway, I said, why? And she said, she's going with somebody from their church. And I said, well, who's that? And his name was John Oder.
That guy stinks.
Okay,
Wish I wasn't.
huh? Where you going with? Somebody from the church.
That's
She
just told
she
you.
told
Anyway.
you that.
I said, well, I ain't gonna give up that easy. You know, I've had a hard life. I'm gonna fight this one out. So for,
I don't want to be
when
called
I told the
Greasy.
guys, when I told the guys on the track team, and boy, did I catch it. I'll tell you, guys, Tom, Bill, you guys that were athletes, you know how mean they can be to you. I mean, they will tear your skin off.
It's free for all.
I caught so much hell from my track mates
Greasy never
for
left.
6 months.
Oh,
And I said, okay, I'm gonna go ask her again. I asked her a second time and she agreed. So we went out on a date and they lived up to their promise not to call me Greasy.
What'd they call you?
Yeah.
They called me George.